What's new, crew? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name's Cassandra. Recently I got a comment asking basically how I would budget if I were to grocery shop every 2 weeks and I needed to include all of my household items. How would I do that? How would I break that down if I were really in a pinch and really on a tight budget? So I took a couple days and I really thought about it. I made some notes and I'm going to tell you guys how I would go from grocery shopping once a month to grocery shopping every 2 weeks if that's how I needed to do it. The very first thing I would do is figure out my monthly total that I wanted to spend on groceries. So for me personally, I try to keep it between $500 and $550. I do give myself a $50 leeway for months that I go over. I need more household products because that's the name of the game, right? We're not only including groceries here, we want to include household products. So I would come up with your budget and then figure out how you want to split that between your 2 paychecks. Do you want to split it 50-50 and spend $250 one week and $250 the next week? Or do I have to look at my bills and be realistic and say I can't split it evenly? My first paycheck that I get for the first 2 weeks, I'm only going to be able to spend $125, and then for my second paycheck of the month, I'm going to spend the rest of my remaining grocery budget then. So that is the first step, figuring out your grocery budget and then figuring out how you want to split that between your first paycheck and your second paycheck. The second thing I would do is sit down with my spouse and figure out what do we actually want to include in this budget. So I wrote down things that I would include in my budget because we're just going to use myself as an example. All of our food, all of our hygiene products, all of our cleaning products. That's what I would include. That's what I do include. Things that I used to include in that budget, but since inflation in 2020, I no longer include in that budget are things like diapers and wipes. I do have small children. I have one baby who's still in diapers. I use wipes for a lot of things. I do not include that in my budget anymore. And then the other thing is animal feed. I used to include that in my budget, but since then we have gotten more dogs and I'm spending a whole grocery budget's worth on just quality food for them. So I no longer include that in my grocery budget. But once you've figured out how much you want to spend, how you want to split that money, and what you're going to include, I would sit down and make some meal plans. Here's where I think some people might come for me in the comments, but I'm just saying this is what I personally 100% would do, and I know that because this is how I have done things in the past. I'm going to bring you guys back to 2015, 2016. My husband and I were 18 years old. We had our oldest daughter. My husband was working as a pipe fitter building ships for a local company who builds ships for the Navy. I was going to nursing school and was not working at that point because I was focusing on school and staying home with our oldest daughter during the day so that we didn't have to pay for daycare. Then my husband decided that he really wanted to enlist. It's something that he had always wanted to do. We were kind of just waiting for the right time and kind of figured if he's gonna do it, now is probably the time to do it. So we basically took our income and cut it in less than half. If you're new to the military or you don't know how lower enlisted is paid, it is very minimal. Basically you're making like $500 every 2 weeks. It is very tight. So we went from making over $1,000 a week to making $500 every 2 weeks. We were trying to pay rent on that and basically living and running 2 households because my husband was down in basic training, purchasing things that he needed, and I was here home in Wisconsin trying to raise a baby and all those things. I ended up working as a CNA that summer because we needed more income and my husband obviously could not work, so I started working and going to school trying to finish nursing and doing all of the things. And one of the things that I really could control was our grocery budget and our household budget, how much money I was spending, trying to stretch that dollar even further. So I go into that little rant to say this is what I have done in that time when we really didn't have a lot to spend on groceries, even as our family grew and we got out to New York where we were stationed at Fort Drum. Our family grew, we had another daughter, so it was a family of 4. Our pay had gone up just a little bit, but not a whole lot. We were still making probably like $700 every 2 weeks. It was not a lot. And You can watch some of those early grocery hauls I have on my channel to see how much things have changed in my grocery shopping from now and then. But this is what I did during those times when we just didn't have a whole lot to spend. I say that to try to defend myself with the comments that I know I'm probably going to get. What I did back then, because I have always done once a month grocery shopping, I made 3 alternative meal plans. I filled out every meal, every snack, and figured out what we would need to make it last an entire month. Then I would go into the Walmart app. The Walmart grocery app was very new back then. It was brand new, actually. I would go into the Walmart app, fill out my entire month's worth of groceries. Then I would try to figure out how much money I had left over, and I would use whatever I had left over in my grocery budget to buy household products. So I would buy things like my toilet paper, like our soaps, our razors, our hygiene products, all of those things. And I made 3 alternative meal plans, 3 months of meals, and every single meal plan had a different variation of a grand total. And on that rotating total, some months I got more household products that would not only last my household 1 month, but into the next month, and I would rotate my household products. So like on meal plan 1, I would have an alternative meal plan, which would mean that I would have very low cost meals, and I would also throw in some of our higher priced household items. So back then that was probably like laundry detergent, diapers, wipes, and I would stock up and buy in bulk so that it would last my family a longer amount of time. And back then we were only a household of 4. Now we're a household of 6. So back then that lasted my family a very long time. And you also have to remember that back then my husband was training a lot. He wasn't really home a lot during his military career. I think during his 4-year enlistment he was maybe home 11 months of it, 12 months of it, but that's not all at once. My husband had a lot of stateside deployments, a lot of training, a lot of like gone away training. My husband was at West Point for a while, so he was just not home. So for a really big portion of this, we were really a household of 3. Heading into my 2nd month's rotation, this is when I would have maybe some higher priced meal items and lower cost household items. So this is when I would get things like cleaning products, hand soaps, things like that. And I would make sure that I was buying whatever I could afford to buy. Heading into my 3rd month of meal plan, this is when I would go back to have a median cost rotation of food items. And then I would stock up on anything else that I needed. So I had this really big laundry room, and I would stock all of my household products there. So very easily at the end of the month, I could walk into my laundry room and I could very plainly see what I have. Walk into my laundry room and see all of my household products. What do I have? Do I need more toilet paper? Do I have enough soap? Do I have enough razors? Do I have enough Pine Sol? Do I have enough Windex? What do I have? What do I need? So if I were doing this every 2 weeks, this is what I would do. I would come up with 4 meal plans for 2 weeks at a time. And this natural thing is gonna start happening when you start rotating through your meals and rotating through your household products. Very naturally, you are going to start to see a natural stockpile starting to form. You're gonna realize you have extra toilet paper, you have extra Pine Sol, you have extra hand soaps. Then once you start to see that stockpile, you can really just go into your room or go into your closet or wherever you're keeping these things, and you can say, okay, after my meal plan, after all of my groceries, I have $70 to spend on household products or on hygiene products. I'm gonna walk into this room, I'm gonna see what I have and see what I need, and then I'm gonna spend that extra money on just things that I need to fill in the gaps on my shelf. You're gonna see the same thing starting to happen with your meal plan. It might get boring, you might get sick of meals, but if you have 4 weeks of meal plans, that doesn't mean that all the meals have to be the same, and it also doesn't mean that your meals can't be the same. You're in charge of your meal plan here, so you can have some low-cost items, low-cost dinners. You can have some weeks where you have a higher cost meal, so maybe you're eating more fancy meals, meals that you really like that are a little bit higher of a cost, and then you're just mixing in some lower budget meals that help keep that cost down. There's nothing wrong with a grilled cheese sandwich. We love grilled cheese. We have that often here for dinner, grilled cheese and tomato soup. We love that. There's nothing wrong with beans and rice. There's nothing wrong with cheap meals. I just put up a video of 3 low-cost budget meals with plenty of leftovers. I can link that down below for you guys. Perfect for fall and winter. Crock pot meals, really easy meals. I know that usually I make a lot of things from scratch, but there's nothing crazy from scratch in those videos or with those meals. I'm not making fresh pasta, nothing like that. When it comes to keeping your budget low, you also really have to decide what's important and what isn't. You're really gonna need to learn where you can cut costs. This is when I stopped using paper towels for cleaning, and I bought a big pack of hand towels, and I started using hand towels to do all of my cleaning instead of paper towels, because I was cutting, A, I was cutting my waste down, but B, I was cutting the cost because I wasn't having to buy paper towels as often because I was only using it for things that I absolutely needed to use it for, and I had my washcloths, which were reusable. This is also when I switched out my mopping system. I wasn't using a Swiffer mop anymore. I went and bought a mop that had reusable pads, and I could fill up my own reservoir full of Pine Sol and water and use that to mop my floors instead of those Swiffer pads. Some other things that I did was starting to get refillable spray bottles, or refillable bulk sized things of my favorite cleaners, like my Lysol spray. This is also when I stopped buying things like Mrs. Meyer's and Method cleaning products. Those were all, you were not a good person if you didn't use Method cleaning products to clean your home back then. And I stopped using those because they were just out of my budget. They were too expensive, and I went back to my Walmart Lysol cleaners, and guess what? They work better. They work better, let's be honest. I also started cutting down the amount of cleaning products that I was using. I basically, now the only cleaning products that I buy are Dawn dish soap, Pine Sol, I'll buy Windex, I buy vinegar, and my Lysol spray. I do still buy Clorox wipes or Lysol wipes, but I really only use those if I'm cleaning up after a flu bug or after something really gross, some sort of sickness, or I know something's going around at school and I'm gonna just wipe through my house really quick. I'm gonna wipe off my doorknobs, things like that. This is also when I really started to buy my cleaning products in bulk if I could. Toothpaste in bulk. Instead of buying 1 tube, I would buy a pack where I got maybe 4 tubes or 2 tubes of toothpaste, and I would put 1 in my bathroom and then put 1 up on my storage shelf, and we would have it for later. I hope that I'm making sense here. But with your meal plans, what I would really do is hop onto your online shopping app of your favorite store, whether that be Aldi, Walmart, Kroger, whatever it is, and just start making your meal plan, adding things to your cart, because you can see the running total. You can see if you're getting too high, if you're going over your budget. You can bring things lower, you can try to figure it out, and you can really start to format these 4 different meal plans. And then you're just gonna rotate through your 4 meal plans with your 4 things of household items, your cleaning products. And if you can tough that out, and you can do that for 4 months, 6 months, maybe even a year if you're really pushing for it, you are going to naturally see that stockpile start to occur, and then you're gonna have a lot more freedom because you're gonna have this stockpile of already had canned items, already had household items, cleaning items, and you can make new meal plans. You can always switch it up. But the thing is, if you do this, you have your set list every single paycheck. Every single time you have to go grocery shopping, you know it's week 1, my first paycheck of the month, I'm going to get these set items off of my meal plan and these set household items. Then heading into week 2, you're gonna get your week 2 grocery list out and your household item list out. You're gonna make that order, and it's gonna be set, and it should be around the same price every single time. If you take a Saturday or Sunday and you sit down with a good old piece of paper and a pen, hop up on your laptop or on your phone, whatever it is, and make these 4 meal plans if you're shopping bi-weekly, all the thinking is done for you, all the planning is done for you, and then it takes all the stress out of it, and you can always make it ebb and flow. If you have a lower paycheck one week, you can cut some things, you can cut out some of those household items, grams, whatever you need to do. But I would highly recommend doing this. This is what I did in the past. It worked for me. It wasn't very fun. It did get us through those couple of years where we didn't have a lot of income coming in, and we were still able to have everything that my family needed and wanted. So I hope this answers your question. I hope that I was clear enough here. Don't be afraid to have low cost items and big leftovers. Maybe this means out of a 7-day week, maybe you're only cooking 3 or 4 times and you're using leftovers and you're utilizing leftovers for dinners. That is totally okay too. We do that all the time. Even to this day, we still do that. I make huge casseroles. Last night, I made a ginormous pasta salad. I still have all of this left over. Guess what is gonna be available for a side, for lunches, for dinners, for the rest of the week until this thing is gone? This pasta salad. We're gonna pull this out. I will probably pull this out tonight and put it out on the kitchen table. And whoever wants some can have some of this pasta salad. I'm gonna eat this for lunch. And you know with what else? Where did I put it? Is it in here? This is not Cool Whip. This is a bunch of chicken salad that I prepped yesterday for myself. I'm gonna have this for lunch with that pasta salad, and I'm gonna utilize my leftovers and get as much use out of it as I can. I really hope this helped answer some of your questions. Thank you guys so much for being here as always, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.
Everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake